So welcome to all. So let's start this first session of our Vortex Perspective initiative that is promoted by the Rotary Club of Social Entrepreneurs. So welcome to all, and thank you for joining this amazing call that is gonna prospect to be very interesting with the speaker of high level. But before going and jumping into that, I want to give the floor to Dr. Monica Grant, that is president of the chapter of the Rotary Club of Social Entrepreneurs. So, Dr. Monica, the floor to you for your opening remarks, please.
Thank you, Domenico. Can everyone hear me? Awesome. First, I want to thank everyone for taking time out of their day on World Ocean Day. This is an extremely important day for us to celebrate and also speak about our water supply and what are we doing about our planet. Currently, if you're paying attention, America is under distress. My hometown of New York City is being flooded with smoke coming from Canada. Everywhere we turn, there are crises going on, and panels like these are the time and opportunity for us to speak about crisis of the past, crisis of the present, and crisis of the future. There's so much going on that we have to be aware about. And this panel actually has been in planning and preparation since last year. I think it was maybe October or November that Hudda brought the conversation to my attention and how important it is for us to be focusing on this topic of our water supply and what are we doing to protect ourselves from just disasters and climate change and all the things that are affecting our planet. So I'm grateful that this day has come, and I'm really excited to learn from you all, you experts from around the world. I want to say a little bit about our Rotary Club. We are the Rotary Club of Social Entrepreneurs. We are a virtual passport club, which means we have members from all around the world. So I'm here in America, Domenico is in Italy, Hudda is in Monaco. We have members in West Africa, Philippines, Singapore, all around the world. And the opportunity has presented itself from, COVID and the pandemic. People flooded to Zoom to still be able to connect. And so we're using that opportunity in this virtual space to continue to do humanitarian projects and to just find new tribes and expand our tribe and expand our connections. And so we're very grateful that you have joined into this space with us so that we can expand our knowledge and just continue to grow. If you are interested in becoming a member, please speak to Domenico and Hudda, your pals, your friends, your buddies on this conversation. And what I would like to take away from this conversation and the continual series is, as a club, how do we have projects that improve our water supply, that improve our understanding of water, water safety? Shawn and I have been speaking for maybe 6 or 7 months now, I think. I think it was maybe it might have been last summer that we actually spoke with each other. So it's going on a year. But there's so many things that we need to know that I think the general public just does not understand. We take water for granted. And I hope that there are more conversations like this, and then we can just continue to expand it. So let this be the first of many to come, and many years of building to come as well. And so we are all family. If we're just meeting each other today, we are now family, we are now sisters, we are now brothers, and we are all members of this movement. So once again, thank you for joining us today. We are the Rotary Club of Social Entrepreneurs, and I'm going to turn it back over to Domenico. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Monica, for your presentation and for your inspiring word. So now I give the floor to my colleague Hudda Chehadé for the introduction of the session. So Hudda, the floor is to you.
Thank you, Domenico. Actually, we would like to start with Shawn. I would like to introduce Shawn as our first panelist. Shawn Slevin is her name, and she is ED and founder of Swim Strong Foundation, a nonprofit in New York City with the mission of reducing unintended drowning deaths and water-based accidents. In 17 years, her nonprofit organization has taught about 10,300 people how to swim, and they have given more than 1 million and free swim lessons to families in need. They taught more than 28,000 students our Know Before You Go. This is their program on water safety educational programming and working through legislation to promote water safety education in their schools. Shawn is also a new Rotarian and proud to represent the Global Water Safety and Drowning Prevention Rotary Club in District 9620. Their focus is to build situational knowledge of water and swimming skills and to help all to navigate safely through the increasing amount of water coming into our lives due to climate action. I give over the floor to Shawn. The first question is definitely, where are we right now, Shawn?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm in New York City with Monica and some friends, trying to stay safe through this terrible air quality that we're having. And if it's so bad for us here in New York, my heart is bleeding for our neighbors in Canada who are going through this directly. So we see climate change affecting us in so many different ways. And here we're living through one of those ways immediately today. But New York City is actually fed by 1 billion gallons of unfiltered drinking water delivered from 19 reservoirs fed by all of our varied waterways and water bodies. Our water supply comes from 3 watersheds that collect water from over 125 miles away. And this water is not only key for our consumption, but also to fuel our farming industry, which includes dairy, apple, cattle, and maple syrup, but also our electrical component industries. Even our pizza and bagels are very distinctive in flavor because of the taste of our water. So just imagine how much interaction there is had with water and all of its various manifestations. And that means, of course, the need to understand the risk around water as well. So just to give you a big picture, on a global basis, a person is dying due to drowning every 70 seconds. And for every death, there is now 8 more people suffering life-changing accidents due to brain and spinal cord injury. It used to be 5. So while our drowning rates have been staying the same for decades, with barely a little tweak up or down, the accident rates are now trending up, which is definitely a problem. And my concern is that both stats will start to increase and continue to increase as climate action unfolds around us. In New York City, go ahead, Hudda. So here in New York City, we are told that we will be 30% underwater by the year 2050. And quite frankly, we're under a triple threat right now, and one that is really affecting many cities, not just New York. We see our water levels rising from 1 to 1.5 centimeters every year. We see our tropical storms and hurricanes increasing not only in strength, but also in frequency. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, we needed to go to the Greek alphabet to continue to name the storms. There were so many of them. We also, of course, are seeing our waterfronts being developed as never before in my lifetime. And that is a real problem because it is providing access for different types of open water situations to a population of 8.5 million people, many of whom do not understand the differences in the nature, behavior, and dangers of each of those types of water, and they don't have the swimming skills. So that's why I say I'm so concerned our drowning rates and water-based accident rates are going to rise. So frankly, here in New York City, we simply do not have an aquatics culture, which is very ironic because we're a maritime city. We're a city of water. We do not have the infrastructure in terms of number of swimming pools needed to teach 8.5 million people these skills. We really need to also look at our open water spaces to try to include those as part of our infrastructure, and that's not happening yet. So we have about 5.5 miles of shoreline that we can also use to supplement our swimming pools. And we are starting to push on developing safe access for swimming on those shorelines as well. Also, obtaining swimming lessons is extraordinarily difficult, not only because of the lack of access, which I just mentioned, but it's very, very expensive. Frankly, an aquatics culture is just needed everywhere. Understanding the great benefits of water and the fact that without it, there's just simply no life at all. And here we are, World Ocean Days, World Oceans Day, celebrating that. And I was fortunate to be able to listen into the UN presentation that was being live streamed. And it just underscored so much how at the end of the day, without our oceans, we are not, quite frankly, or is anything else for that matter. So all of us, whether we're swim skilled or not, simply must understand the risk of water far more broadly than we have been growing up to understand it, which has been around a recreational point of view. It's affecting us. Yes, Hudda, go ahead.
I would like to hear from you, actually, because we don't have much time. I would like to hear from you. What is it that we can do? What is it that specifically Rotary can do?
So I think from a Rotary point of view, we have a tremendous opportunity with the WASH programs, the water and sanitation health programs around the world that have been ongoing and a part of Rotary for many, many years. But I think the intersection now comes to add this situational knowledge of water to bringing water into villages that have not have access to it before. Because in access to water creates risk, and in risk, of course, we can lose our lives or have these accidents. So I think that is our biggest opportunity, certainly for our club.
Thank you so much, dear Shawn. I give over to you, Domenico. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hudda. And thank you, Shawn, for your presentation. So this panel was intended to address a different point of view on the topic of water. And we decided to call this panel Status Quo and Challenges on the Watershed, Management and Safety. So we addressed the topic of safety. But now with the next speaker, I probably want to start focusing on what is a watershed. I'll give the floor now to Natalia Vojno. Natalia Vojno is the influencer freshwater policy for the past decades and is a speechwriter and campaigner. She's a founding member of the Water Youth Network, and she has published on youth role in water diplomacy. Natalia founded also Our Future, first to facilitate community dialogues and environment peace building. She trained with Klingendal, MBBI, Solaya, and Meetix. She's also a Rotarian and recently is joined the Rotary Peace Fellow and graduate as ECU. She also an advisor for UNEP Faith and Heart Initiative as an inaugural youth council. So Natalia, I will give the floor. Thank you very much for joining. It's a pleasure to have you here. So I'll give you the floor properly, starting also from your side with a question. What is a watershed, and what is the actual knowledge about that also we can say in the international environment? So please, the floor is to you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. And I will try to go into all three questions throughout the slideshow in sequence, if that's okay. And before I begin, we have a custom here within North America to acknowledge the land, the water, and the First Peoples. So I'm calling in from Toronto. It's the traditional territory of several First Nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat. The land is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit and is home to many Indigenous, Inuit, Métis, First Nations, as well as peoples from around the world. For me, the watershed of the Humber River is home, and water connects all of us on Earth. So I'll be diving in on water perspectives, looking from an environmental policy and environmental peace building perspective that's informed the past decade or so of my practice. So as the founder of Our Future First, I've tended to deliver projects that are based on developing a shared understanding of the ecosystem. So one was the Water Innovation Lab for the Danube watershed, where we brought in experts and had young people first get an understanding for what some of the shared challenges were, and then collaboratively work together for their shared vision of the watershed. Another example is the Balkan Youth Environmental Assembly, where we focused a bit more on the idea of biodiversity and the unifying identity within the Balkans, where we are an ecosystem that can thrive together, using the metaphor of the birch, the pine, and the oak as both being able to coexist in the same soil. So I'll just kind of skip ahead to the question that has been guiding a great deal of my work, and that is, how can multiple stakeholders and rights holders co-govern shared ecosystems? And so two overarching theories and approaches guide this work. One is integrated water resource management. So underneath you have an image of a watershed. So this is what a watershed is, and I'll get a little bit more into that. And the other one, given that it's World Oceans Day, is the source to the approach. So acknowledging that there's this interconnected system between the land and fresh water, and as it continues to flow into the estuary and into the coastal areas in the sea, and then evapotranspiration up again. So it's all interlinked. So why do we think in terms of these biophysical parameters? Because we're on spaceship Earth. This is ultimately our ultimate boundary. And we need to be mindful of the fact that what we do on land influences what happens on the water. There's about 4 to 12 million tons of plastic that enter the ocean via rivers and other waterways. Nutrients, so this is nitrogen and phosphorus from farm fields, can get into the water and then cause eutrophication, algal blooms, dead zones where oxygen is depleted from the water. The fragmentation of rivers through infrastructure like dams can also deteriorate fish habitat. So there's a need to think in systems. Recently, scientists supported by Future Earth have come up with a formulation for understanding how to develop safe and just Earth system boundaries. So factoring in the human costs of exceeding planetary boundaries. And this is the model that they've developed, and it's currently published in the journal Nature. So I'd encourage you to take a look. And to zone in on the watershed and what it is, I know it looks like a lot of information because water really touches every single aspect of our lives. And so when it comes to what can we do locally, well, it depends on what is the little parcel of land that we're on like. Do we tend to experience flooding? So do we get too much water? If that's the case, can we look at trees as urban infrastructure and plant them and leave green spaces so water can soak in and then go into the ground and replenish the underground aquifers? Can we put in rain barrels to also slow down the flow of stormwater? Or if we're in a dry and arid place where we have water scarcity, those rain barrels can give us additional water when we need them at a different time. We might also consider having rock gardens instead of lawns, which require a lot of water. So how can we manage the land that we're on, being mindful of the way water wants to move through it? And as you can see, there's many different, both residential and industrial actors that need to work together to take care of this shared area. An example of local Toronto Region Conservation Authority and the Regional Watershed Alliance is a group that I'm involved in. And what we do is we collaborate with the Conservation Authority, municipal partners that are also members of the Alliance, stakeholders and rights holders to talk about how do we mobilize community support for watershed planning. I'm sorry if you can hear alarms going off outside. I'm close to a busy street. We also advocate on regional and local environmental issues, and we really focus on this mix of land use planning, looking at the whole water resource system, and what we can do to protect and restore that area. So unlike a traditional political map, you can see the square lines, but then you also see the lines of the watershed and all the different tributaries that feed into it. It's a different way of orienting as a sense of us and a collective. Ultimately, that's what's needed, is shift in thinking. And if we were to shift from understanding our environment as just a resource or something dead and inert, to looking at other worldviews, such as Indigenous worldviews, and we think in systems that are alive, how might we design differently? How might we imagine the world differently and govern collectively in a new way? So in terms of what we can do and what Rotarians can do, I encourage you to take a more systems and relational approach to water, to shift the thinking from controlling it as a resource to adaptive co-management of ecosystems through dialogue and engaging multiple people in conversation, also bringing values into those conversations. As entrepreneurs, when you design your businesses, go beyond the usual business model canvas to the flourishing business model canvas and incorporate those social and planetary bounds. You can support Rotary groups and projects that support good ecosystem and watershed maintenance. There's examples of eco clubs or joining SRAG. There's also really great examples of how to be guardians in your community. So I encourage you to take a look at these links, and I'll share the PowerPoint with Domenico afterwards. And something that I would very much like to champion more is supporting citizen engagement and resident engagement within the watershed. So this can look like environmental citizen assemblies, something similar to what the TRCA is doing with the Watershed Alliance. It could be organizing community events and tree plantings just so people are more connected to nature. Also building a sense of responsibility and care by doing litter pickup so that plastic doesn't end up going and breaking down into microplastics and getting into the water and then getting back into our bodies. So this is something that I'm committing to doing more of, organizing and facilitating spaces where people come together in circle to look at water governance and to be more engaged. Always happy to chat more about that. And I think the way that we come together is important. So a quote that I'd like to leave you with is that the future is created one room at a time, one gathering at a time. Each gathering needs to become an example of the future that we want to create. And feel free to follow or get in touch. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you to you, Natalia, for your presentation, and also quite very like the last quote that you shared. And let's hope that our path in water's perspective can follow also the quote you presented. And also you talk about indigenous people, and properly regarding that, Hudda, I think that we can introduce together our hosts that are properly coming from indigenous culture, but not only. So Hudda, I don't know if you want to like introduce our next guest, or we can do together. So Hudda,
let's do it together. Yeah, let's do it together.
Okay.
Most welcome. We have an opportunity to talk to people who are indigenous, who are very near to the nature, who live nature. Nature is nearly everything to them. And we are glad to have you here with us. Domenico, I give over to you.
Okay, so let's introduce our guests, in particular Sumaq, Nina Pomal. Lutz is CEO of the Tampu Project. That is a non-profit organization with activities in the United States of America and countries of the Andean Community of Nations, so Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Chile, and Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. And the objective of these communities is to bring Andean art and culture to humanity. The proposal is to transmit to the world the beauty and the values and the Andes, reflecting the fraternal love and coexistence with nature to achieve well-being and sustainable development as human beings and society. So I'll give the floor to Lutz and Lutz Pomal and also her husband. So thank you very much for having this conversation with us. And as Natalia has introduced, it's very important to include the indigenous knowledge, but also not only. We will figure out with you also some other relationship between indigenous knowledge and traditional science, for example. So, Luz, introduce yourself and your colleague, please. Luz, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Ajinta Munay, everyone. Maybe some of you are wondering what the word Ajinta Munay means, but it's the way us as a Misaya we greet people. So it's translating in Quechua, our native language. Live a good life, brother and sister. I'm Lusu Magnina Poma, he's Ivan Weki Poma. We are Misayaks, is Inca Andean priest. We share a lot about the Andean cosmovision and culture. Ivan, he's in the process of learning English, so he understands it pretty well, but I'm gonna be translating for him so we can understand his message.
Thank you, Luz. And so let's start with the first question also on your side. So to the previous speaker, we asked actually a little bit the state of art, how is going, for example, on water's perspective, also from a point of view of the indigenous. And I will make the question to you. So let's start with this first engagement for the discussion.
Absolutely. Would you like to start?
Bueno, acerca de los desafíos,
Sí, ¿dónde estamos ahora?
la situación actual en la que estamos ahora.
In the real situation that we're in right now,
Quiero hablarles en dos perspectivas. En la perspectiva como indígena
I would like to talk in both perspectives, as indigenous and as a professional,
y también
environmental engineer.
y como ingeniero ambiental. Le voy a hablar de por qué muchos miembros de mi comunidad indígena, inclusive hemos tenido que caminar 4 horas diarias para poder estudiar.
I can also start from people in my community, also including me, that we have to work like miles to be able to reach the water.
¿Por qué estudiar? Es para poder comunicarnos con ustedes.
And the process of getting water is to be able to go to school, to be able to communicate with you guys,
Con el mundo.
with the world.
Porque la visión del mundo en general
Because the vision that the world has
es que centra al humano como el núcleo de todo.
that put the human as the center of everything.
Pero la visión indígena
But the indigenous version
centra al hombre, al ser humano, como parte del ecosistema. Es decir, no estamos fuera, somos el ecosistema, somos el planeta,
And
estamos
has
todos juntos.
and as indigenous, we perceive that we are with nature. We are nature. We are the ecosystem. We're everything that is so around us.
Entonces, si yo fuese el presidente del planeta
If I was the president of the planet
y me hubiesen educado con esta visión,
and I got educated with this vision,
o si yo fuese el magnate más grande del planeta y me hubiesen educado con esta visión,
or if I was a very successful person and I got educated with this vision,
si yo fuese un billonario extraordinario, el
or
hombre
if
más
I
rico del
wouldn't be
mundo,
a billionaire or very rich person,
entonces sabría que este problema es que me está dañando a mí y no permitiría.
and I would know that this problem is affecting me, and I wouldn't allow this to happen.
No permitiría que destrocen mi vida.
I wouldn't allow to people destroy my own life.
La
If I
de,
was
la de
those
mi-
type of people
la
that I
de mi
just mentioned,
gente, la de mis amigos,
like harm people's life, my friends, my family, my business partner.
Entendería que me estoy dañando a mí y estoy dañando a todos.
And I wouldn't understand that I'm damaging myself and I'm damaging others.
Es por eso que salimos a estudiar.
And that is the reason why we went to school.
Entonces, la situación actual
So the actual situation with the water
es que la gran mayoría del mundo no entiende que nos estamos matando.
the world don't understand that we're killing ourselves.
Esto no son números.
This is no numbers.
Y ahora les quiero hablar como ingeniero ambiental, como científico.
And now I would like to talk as an environmental engineer and as a scientific.
Voy a hacer una broma pesada.
I'm gonna make a big joke.
Los Avengers no van a venir a rescatar el mundo.
The Avengers aren't coming to save the world.
Superman no va a venir a rescatar el mundo.
Superman is not going to save the world.
Seguimos esperando soluciones mágicas y eso no va a pasar.
We're still waiting for magical solutions, and that is not going to happen.
Debemos entender que el planeta Tierra
We have to understand that the planet Earth
es un cuerpo.
is a body.
Y cuando un cuerpo está enfermo,
And when a body is ill,
tiene una capacidad de regeneración ante un problema.
it have the capability or capability to regenerate.
El problema cuando la enfermedad supera la capacidad de regeneración del cuerpo.
But the problem is when the illness overcome the generation aspect of a body,
Entonces el cuerpo no se puede sanar.
and the body cannot heal.
Nos estamos matando. Si en los próximos 20 años
We're killing ourselves in the approximately 20 years.
nosotros que somos el cerebro del planeta
Us that we are the brain of the planet,
no generamos soluciones para esto reales,
we don't generate real solution for this type of issues.
no va a poder tener reversión.
It's not going to have return.
Esto es un grave problema.
This is a big issue.
Esto no es una propaganda.
This is not just advertisement.
El planeta Tierra no va a poder superar el nivel de contaminación.
Yeah, the planet Earth is not going to overcome the contamination that we are creating these days.
Entonces lo que va a ocurrir es,
So what is going to occur,
como todo cuerpo hace,
has all body do,
tener mayor acción contra la enfermedad.
to have more action through the illness.
Si les parece aterrante lo que pasó hoy día con Nueva York,
If we are here in New York, so we are noticeable about what is going to the climate. If for people that here in New York see it, that is something very terrific.
no se imaginan lo que está viviendo India, no se imaginan lo que está viviendo China.
They don't imagine how, or they don't even know what in India or in China is happening.
Esto es todos los días.
This is every day.
Señores de Holanda, ustedes se están quedando sin tierra.
Yeah, people from Holland, they're getting without land.
Esto
So,
es,
sorry, so how do you think should we deal with it, and how can Rotary help to deal with it, with this situation that you're explaining and presenting?
bueno, la
Solution.
respuesta para esto es algo muy enorme.
The response to this is big.
Si hacemos unas campañas educativas para las próximas 4 generaciones,
If we do campaigns, educational campaigns for the 4 generations,
quizás podamos cambiar esta mentalidad.
maybe we can change this mentality.
Entonces, educar y para que los próximos presidentes que ahora tienen 5 o 6 años
Educating the future presidents
o políticos o
or
ricos del mundo
public people or politic people or rich people about this type of topic, educate them about it.
los próximos empresarios
The future business persons,
entiendan la magnitud de esto
they can understand the how big is this?
necesita una fuerte educación.
It needs a very strong education.
Ahora, la solución también está en hacer proyectos y programas efectivos.
Yeah, and the solution is also to create effective projects and programs that can help,
que verdaderamente solucionen este problema.
that can really solve the issue.
No es solamente conservar tierras,
It's not just keeping land,
porque por mucho que conservemos tierras,
How do you do it as indigenous people?
¿me lo traduces, por favor?
que cómo hacemos como indígenas. Well,
El tema como indígenas es que nosotros estamos cuidando nuestra parte.
yeah, the thing about indigenous, being indigenous, like we are protecting our part
Porque nosotros no contaminamos como el resto del
because
planeta.
we don't contaminate like the other people do.
Mientras ustedes están haciendo programas para solucionar esto, la explotación de fracking de petróleo está contaminando el agua para los próximos 50 años.
Yeah, while you guys are doing projects or programs to help this issue, and the other side, you guys also exploiting fossil in the land.
El problema entonces que debemos solucionar es uno, crear verdaderas políticas de reestructuración, y para eso el Rotary tiene que participar activamente en influenciar en estas partes.
Yes, so it's very important to do political actions and that are related to this type of
Domenico,
topic.
it seems like there's an internet problem.
I'm sorry?
No, we can hear you. No, please continue the translation, Lutz. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay.
Entonces, tenemos las dos primeras acciones. Educación a largo plazo,
So we had to have two solutions, education and long term,
luchar e influenciar directamente con las políticas gubernamentales e internacionales,
and confront the political laws related to the water.
y la tercera,
And the third one,
la más importante,
the most important,
destinar parte de sus fondos a reales soluciones.
yeah, and designate those funds or real funds to really good programs and projects related to the water.
Existen muchas iniciativas como las nuestras,
It is many initiative has us that we have with Tampu Project,
y nos podemos unir con otros hermanos que acabo de escuchar que están en Nueva York.
and we can get together with brothers and sisters from New York or from all over the world to work towards the solutions,
Para atender estas tres acciones.
to really take part or do these three actions that we just mentioned.
En este momento, Tampu Project está creando un banco de árboles en Centroamérica para toda la Amazonía, con árboles nativos, para evitar que hayan árboles exógenos. Esa es una solución.
Right now, Tampu Project, we are creating a bank of trees in Honduras that is allowing to reforestate part of the Amazon and be able to
Nativos.
yeah, native trees also, native trees that are from the area.
Para recuperar el agua de las zonas.
Yes.
Que ese es
To-
uno de los bancos más
To
importantes de agua.
cold water from the zones, because I don't know if you guys know, but planting trees, cold water.
Entonces tenemos que atender esas tres líneas. Mientras no atendamos realmente estas tres líneas, no
If
hay
we don't
solución.
take action doing this, like the learning process, the working on the laws, and the doing real projects that really help the ecosystem, is when we can see more result and we can help the planet Earth.
Sé que la tarea es muy difícil, pero los invito a hacerlo.
I know that the task could be a little difficult, but it's no hard to do. It's not impossible. We're capable to do amazing things.
Los invitamos a hacer frente todos unidos.
Yes, we
okay.
invite you all to really understand and be conscious about these issues.
Okay. Thank you.
Quiero cerrar esto diciendo que hablo quechua de nacimiento,
Yeah. I speak Quechua. Quechua is my native language.
Y,
It's
nos-
indigenous
y
language.
nosotros decimos Sumaq.
And we say Sumaq.
Y Sumaq significa que sirve y es bonito.
And Sumaq means that is helpful and it's beautiful.
Y entonces tenemos que hacer esas dos cosas siempre. todo
So
el tiempo.
that's what we need to do. Help and keep it harmonized in beauty.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias a vosotros. Thank you very much to you. It's been like wonderful how like you share your indigenous knowledge, but also you try also to give a point of view from a scientific side. So thank you very much and congratulations for your project. And as we were saying in our panel, we want to discuss from different point of views. So we address the point of safety, we address the point of the community engagement, the point of indigenous people, and now we want also to address the point of entrepreneurs, as we can say we are the Rotary Club on social entrepreneurs. So I'll give the floor again to my colleague Hudda to introduce the last speaker of the panel. So Hudda, please, the floor to you. Okay, so Hudda has an internet problem, so I will go on her behalf. Oh, yes, Hudda, please, if you want to introduce the last speaker, please, the floor is to you.
Sorry, I lost the internet connection. I guess we are with Maria now. Okay, let me introduce my friend and colleague, Maria. Maria Antoinette Dahrieh is a visionary philanthropist and water ambassador. She possesses a unique blend of expertise in technology, sustainability, and fundraising. She has traversed the startup landscape across Europe and the Middle East, and Maria is renowned for founding Wellshark and Investment Readiness Firm. Maria is driven by an unwavering commitment to fostering innovative solutions. She has founded the Earth 05 Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the prevention of man-made disaster and the promotion of co-creation to accelerate innovative solutions in the areas of water, food, energy, education, and AI transition. With a keen focus on co-creation and conscious investing, Maria empowers leaders, entrepreneurs, and philanthropists to collaborate in building a sustainable and resilient future. She has a reputation as a catalyst for positive change. She brings together diverse perspectives and leverages cutting-edge technologies to drive transformative impact. By harnessing the power of collective problem solving and championing inclusive collaboration, Maria is paving the way for a world where humanity and technology coexist harmoniously. Maria, I give the floor to you, and I welcome you here with us here in this round.
Thank you so much, Hudda and Domenico and everyone for having me here today. I prepared a very short presentation. How much time do we have? Because I know we're approaching the end of the session, Domenico.
Yes,
7 to 8.
We have like
7 minutes. Okay, we can make that. Let me share with you a screen about. There you go. So I wrote my thoughts a little bit more in a presentation form for me to read it when I'm talking to you, everyone. And I thought probably I'm going to be very transparent and share with you my thoughts as it is written here in the presentation. I do definitely see a very bright future. And that's only in one way, which is a collaborative way that we can actually do it together. There is no one who does it. It's about how we do it together as a collective work, as a human force race. And I'll explain why. Just in brief about the Earth 05 Foundation, would love you guys if you can check us out, earth05.org. And as Hudda mentioned, that we're focusing on the prevention of man-made disasters and fostering co-creation. Now, to go back down to the questions that has been discussed very nicely, and I'm not going to add any other more than something new to you instead of what you already know and what's already been addressed, is that I'm not sure if most of you are actually using ChatGPT today. Some of us are, some maybe are on the way to. I just want to highlight that there's some studies recently that ChatGPT is about taking approximately 500 milliliters of clean water based on 20 to 50 questions on average. So if you look at the actual number, 500 is not much, but if you multiply it by billions of users, you can only imagine how much consumption of not only ChatGPT itself, but AI is going to be addressing in the near future. The bigger question will become is the uncertainties that we're heading off between AI and general intelligence. And thereof, where is the fight is going to be in the future? Is it really in the hand of the water, only getting clean access to water to people, to us as humans, or to humanoids? Who is going to be in the driving seat? So if you think about it today, if AI today is an evolution of development, so are we as humans, of course, and we're grateful for AI for us to tapping on bigger intelligence in our brain that we haven't untapped in the previous past. But however, if you look into the future and we see that the consumption of all of those systems that require certain number of water on a daily basis, more than what we are drinking the 2 liters, in fact, it's been drinked in a search online. So the question is, where is the end game in the future? I'm going to leave you with this thought. But if we look into the water scarcity today, obviously we understand from today, we're not talking tomorrow, we're talking today. As an entrepreneur, all this perspective I'm leaving in the last thoughts with you today is that it's the livelihood that we're having a potential issue, not only with water, but the actual unclean water, excuse my notes here, that's pretty much supposed to be from my personal look, with all these amazing colors, highlighting that actually the water fight is not only for the insecurities for the food that's going to be impacting the water resources. There might be even more water war regarding the water resources. And the quick question mark, is it actually a war between humans? Or is it a war between humanoids and authentic human? And when I mean humanoids, I mean everything related to AI, robotics, and so on. Because when humanoids are connecting with each other, when they're coding within their own language on this general intelligence that we may need to reconsider on this evolution as per the open letter of AI, if we look into it really more in depth into the near future, actually the water consumption is going to increase much higher, the clean water we're talking, for the system cooling. And the question is, in the future, who is going to be in the driving seat? Are we going to be able, is AI, or let's call it humanoids, are going to be raising their own question for regulations for water? Who is going to be, what's the end game? Where are we going? Are we ready for this transition? So that's what we're working as well with on the foundation. In fact, that's the vision that we're fighting for. We're preparing our nation into this transition. And in fact, if you look into today, what's been done, it's been very much working on a survival mechanism for humanity without any approach on a future humanity extinction, if so to say, if this proceeds the way it is. However, obviously, we all know the rise of temperature. There's a lot of different extinction, all these things that you know of. I'm not going to repeat it, but all these water-related diseases, it's not only, again, a water issue, it's also a food security problems as well. So at the end of the day, would like to address here with all the droughts that's happening is that we need to act immediately and we need to consider water as an emergency call to action. Now, as a solution from an entrepreneurial perspective, I would say considering AI itself, IoT and blockchain as part of the solution, that is for sure. But however, we need to go back to what everyone was mentioning earlier, specifically Tempo as well, is that we need to raise on the regulation part for AI. But not only regulation for AI towards humans, but AI regulation on water consumption. So to wrap up, this would be my last slide, and I will leave you with the thought that we need to treat water as an imminent threat we need to be obviously calling it to action effective immediately, not only water, but also AI water regulatory framework, which hasn't been established today. And I think it's something, for example, Rotary can raise the awareness, because you have approximately, I'm Rotarian myself as well, a 1.4 million Rotarian around the world. If we have 10%, 20% of us raising the voices, creating the movements, this can make a change, because Rotarian, what makes it different, it's actually borderless community in a way. It's not politically attached. And also you have a local presence in different country. Imagine what change we can achieve if actually not about who does it. Again, it's about how collectively we do it together. I'm going to wrap up with a solution. I'm not nobody to say any solution here, but I'm someone who's from an entrepreneur and from a visionary perspective. I would say supporting scientists and innovators, creating a Rotary fund, raising the fund only to support those within the imminent threat. This is something I think Rotary can easily raise from Bill Gates Foundation, for instance. There's an existing relationship. Also, obviously, I would really emphasize that from an entrepreneurial perspective is to fund implementation of water-saving technologies and to impose, again, the regulations to normalize it. Here, I would like to address on water consumption when it comes to humanoids or the upcoming humanoids era that we're transitioning to. And lastly, I would like to wrap up with, obviously, wastewater is still a big issue. And I think personally, from an entrepreneurial perspective, there's a lot of infrastructure, IoT related, that we can act in implementing these technologies. Typically, all of this has to come back from what has been said in this panel earlier. It's all has to come top-down approach. But also the movement needs to be created from local communities, and Rotary can help with that. And with this, I thank everyone for listening to that, and I hope I didn't scare anyone off on the future, but I really think we should consider water regulations for humanoids as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria, for this amazing presentation. So thank you for the speaker, actually, because we face different point of views on the water perspective. It was properly the goal of our talks. But now let's also give the floor to the audience. We reserved the last part of the meeting for questions and answers from the audience to our speakers. So if somebody of you wants to interact and to make some questions, please, the floor is for you. So
I don't know if you can hear me. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, please,
hi. My name is Jody Katzman, and I've been working with Shawn Slevin on her Know Before You Go educational program, and it addresses the risk of water in our daily lives. And I've been working with her as a facilitator, bringing this presentation to New York City area schools to address the dangers of water to toddlers in our homes, to, everywhere we meet, out of doors, all year, wild weather, extreme weather. And it's, for everybody, as you've all been talking about in this last hour, whether they swim or not. And so it's been fascinating to speak to the students all in the New York area to address the risk of water in their daily lives, because we know about climate change and we know about the waterfronts that New York City is developing, so like that we've never before seen. And so it's all about, as everybody's already been talking, it dovetails very well with being in a different relationship with water. And we educate them about drowning. We talk about being safe around water, water in the streets, water in the toilets with toddlers, in the pools, in the beaches, in the rivers, in the lakes, in the rip currents, and all of that stuff that these kids are learning about. And I just wanted to say that I've seen firsthand how much the students didn't know before they came into that assembly to hear our presentations, and what they come away with afterwards once we've done these presentations. When we finish and they come back to us and talk about many of the points that you guys have all been addressing. It's fascinating and it's really quite an education. And I have to say, and I've told this to Shawn numerous times, I've learned a lot by giving these presentations, and I've learned things that I've never known before. So I hope we can see more of this education going forward, because I think it's really critical. I've been out of school for a very, very, very long time. And had I had this kind of information back then, I would be better for it today. So I just wanted to throw that out to everybody.
Thank you very much, Jody. Thank you for reinforcing also what Shawn has proposed to us, and it's very important to work on education. I think that one of the key messages that we can bring from the discussion is probably to work on education. That is a topic that has been like expressed from different speakers. So thank you, Jody, for your witness and for sharing with us. Any other intervention, question, or comments addressing to the speaker?
I would like to share a beautiful quote to all of the guests here. Just be kind to yourself, because just remember that your body is 90% water. So frequency and vibration is real. So always be kind to what you start to yourself, because what is inside, it shows outside. So we are water.
Thank you so much. I agree 100% with you. This is very nice what you said. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Totally agree. I saw Josphat and Dr. Monica that has raised their hands. So let's take Josphat and Dr. Monica, please.
Hi, thank you very much for this session. When you asked us maybe to just come in, I was hesitating to attend this session, but I am really, really excited at what I've seen, what I've heard from the wonderful speakers that we had for this session. And I really think this is what we should focus on. It's something that is really exciting, and it's as Maria has said, there is no tomorrow. We have to really act now, and we really have to do things that are supposed to be done. So thank you very much, and I think I would love to be a part of this great team. Yeah,
get in touch with us, Josphat, right? Okay, the floor is for you, Dr. Monica.
Hey, thank you.
We cannot hear you properly. If you can near the microphone, please, because we cannot hear you very well. Yeah, now yes.
These things. I want to say thank you all for just being here and sharing your expertise. I know we're getting close to the hour. We're on the hour, and I believe in our meeting, so I want to get us out of here. My takeaway is education, 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 in so many different aspects. Water safety, water perspectives for social entrepreneurs. How do social entrepreneurs get more knowledge about what we can do about water to implement it in their businesses that they currently have? How do we bring this to high school students? How do we bring this to youth? So coming up with a curriculum, right, that we can share and we can teach each other and train the trainers, and bringing it to the grassroots. Climate resilient infrastructure. I love that. I want to hear more about that. Water saving technologies, I want to hear more about that. Where are these water regulations? Where are they? Where can we fight for them now? Where can we pursue them? What should we be looking for in the future? Can we have those conversations? What does support look like? This entire conversation wasn't complicated. Nothing went over my head. Nothing went over anybody's head. I think right now the issue is there's a lack of awareness. And so people don't care because they don't know. And so what I would like to do, at our next meeting and going forward with RCSE is how do we bring awareness through these different pieces that you all talked about today. Thank you so much for your time. And also thank you for the work that you've already been doing. You've already been doing this work. And so I can't thank you enough for bringing us to this level and bringing us up to another level. And I'm in it with you. And so please let us know how we can continue to work. and let this not be the last time that we see each other. This is real and we need to do real work ASAP. So thank you for your time. Domenico, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Monica. So thank you to all of you for attending this initiative and also for working together to make it happen. I will just acknowledge that this is the first of many. We are intending to make like a series of events on water perspective together with the Rotary Club on social entrepreneurs. And so there will be a follow-up that every one of you is invited to join. So I saw that there are many hands raised, but actually, as Dr. Monica was saying, we are on closure. So I kindly ask the two speakers that I saw with the raised hand to have like a shot of intervention to Dr. Priyabhatra and Christian Tayanga.
Before that, can you please announce the dates when we are going to have the next meetings?
Yes, sure.
Our water perspective, just that it's not forgotten. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. So the next one will be on September 18, and we are working to have on innovation for water access. Then October 27, we will have like a joint session of the water perspective and the climate social forum. And then December 18, where we are working more on the connection with the climate change and climate regulation, opportunities and concern about this great and challenging topic. So without further say, just really a shot from Dr. Priyabhatra Mukherjee and Christian. So please, Priyabhatra, just a shot. We are closing.
Yeah, thank you. So my question is that whether in India actually the watershed development projects are not actually well success till now. So what is the way? I think the traditional ways of the conservation process, water conservation process, or the new technologies are more valuable for watershed implementation of watershed project. This is my question actually. What is better than traditional technologies and knowledge are better for conservation of water, or the modern technologies or the modern AI technologies are more better than traditional?
Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee. For the sake of time, I suggest that everyone want to respond to Dr. Mukherjee. Please exchange the contact in the chat. Unfortunately, we are a little bit out of time. So I'll give the floor to Christian for a brief shot.
Thank you to the panel. Very informative. Appreciate that. Shawn mentioned about the increase in tropical storms. And Natalia, you mentioned about rain belts preventing flooding. Can you explain more about rain belts, if you can quickly, or give me your contact details and I can follow up with you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The use of rain barrels?
Yeah.
There are RainGrid is a company that is looking at treating stormwater as a resource by connecting them with Internet of Things. So I can add that link in the chat.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Christian, and thank you for all the speakers. Thank you to my colleague Hudda for like working together to arrange this meeting. Thank you to Dr. Monica and all the colleagues from Rotary Club on Social Entrepreneurs. And so I think that for now we are going to close this first step of the water perspective, but stay connected for the next as we like claim. So thank you very much, and let's close the call. Okay, Hudda, please, if you want to say something.
Thank you for all the panelists and for all the attendees who are attended today, our panel. And we look forward to hear from you or to see you on our next panel, definitely. And we'll keep you updated with the information that was shared today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, bless you.